Hello, and welcome to Bergkamp Wonderland, an Arsenal podcast. And we've made some changes. Danny's still here, unfortunately. But today, I'll be hosting. I've gone back into the big chair. It feels quite comfy. There was a small little borrower on here. He's gone back to Plymouth. So yeah, it's rightly my seat until Carl comes back and demands it back off me. But until then, I think we'll go. We've got plenty of things to be getting on with as well. Danny, I'm going to ask you a question before I introduce the other two who will be on the podcast. Why have we been so bad at getting a podcast out that we've got to do 4 games in this one?
Well, if I remember correctly, last week you were at a Brighton game for the first one and out for dinner with your lovely mates at some vegan cafe. Nick was available and I was available, but then that would just end up being 2 hours talking about retro gaming and me trying to flog in my latest buy of 17 PlayStation 4 games. And I think on the Wednesday, Richard was working because he's managing the team, and Carl has gone AWOL. I think the underground have kept him. The Wombles. Femi has been sunning himself in Mexico. And who else is there? James is busy with his own pod, a damn fine pod. Melvin hasn't really got the hang of the mobile phone yet. And how many chances he left the group and then got, can you have me back in? Or he's completely deleted it. Who else is there? Craig has retired from podcasting. So setting up that new group was a waste of time because no one in it can do anything. And that's it. But Ellis has now got a shed at the end of his new house and he has got Ethernet, as he is very pleased to tell us all. He's got an Ethernet cable going down to his man shed. John is going to be back soon. And no one's heard of Jeff. He's too busy flocking corporate cucumber sandwiches.
Yeah, wow. Well, at least we've managed to get 2 other people, though, Danny. And you've already alluded to 2 of them, maybe. But I'll start first by saying, Rich, long time no see. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, all very well on this side of the fence. Obviously, the last time I think I podcasted was post-Brighton. I think we're all just about over that game. It's on to the next issue, shall we say, when it comes to time wasting. I think we've got something else to talk about from that front.
I guess so, yeah. The last game brought up some feelings.
Yeah, I definitely regurgitated some stuff. But we'll see. And of course, as well, Nick, I've got a load of PlayStation 4 games for you. Apparently, that's retro gaming now, Danny, for fuck's sake.
You can pick up a PS4 for 40 quid.
From where? Your mate? Does it come with cables?
I'm ashamed to admit that I now watch Facebook Reels, is it called, or Shorts, or whatever it is. When I get bored, I watch that for half an hour. And there's this bloke who's got a place where what's it called? Those pawn shops, and he sold a bloke a PS4 for 40 quid.
Insane.
I mean, I bought all these games for bugger all, and I've already made my money back.
Nick,
you could buy the new PS5 Pro next month for 800 quid, even though they all sold out in 30 seconds and are on eBay for $5,000 a pop. So, yeah, don't want to waste your money on that.
Good money.
Capitalism, man.
Yeah. Right.
Look who's in the chat.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Hey, Ellis.
I don't know where Ellis lives. I can actually go around and force him to be on a podcast.
Kidnap him.
I might do.
I'm sure. Does your restraining order allow you that close to Ellis?
No.
No.
I mean, the tag don't let him out of the house.
Right. Which game are we starting with then?
Spurs.
I think in terms of, I guess we've got to start with Spurs. But I guess, do the chat want to know what we think about Spurs? Or do we just move on? I don't know. It's up to everybody. That was an open... Does anybody got anything to mention about Spurs?
It feels like it was... Richard, it feels like it was like years ago. Like so much has happened. So much discourse has happened. And it feels like a lifetime away, that game. But, one of our tricky games... out of the way, 3 points. They're all miserable. we were all singing at the end. So I mean, is there much more we need to really discuss about them? Really?
Never need to discuss it any further. So I think we can jump over that one. And
Hold on. Spurs game.
game. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was something I wanted to say. Raya, magnificent again. Saved the game, saved us. I thought the number of bookings, considering it wasn't even a dirty game, it was obviously trying to get somebody sent off, and it didn't do it. And Manwari made his North London debut, so I hope that he went on to have another good week the week after. But as far as North London derbies go, there wasn't really that much to talk about because they were defending for their life, and we were just going, "You have the ball, and let us know when you're done with it, and then we'll score a goal, and then we'll win."
We did get our customary player booked for kicking the ball away or placing the ball where the free kick was, which everybody's getting booked for this year because Howard Webb has told everybody, every team, you're all getting booked for kicking the ball away, but only Arsenal players are actually getting booked.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't continue in the games coming after this, Nick.
Oh, it might do.
Yeah, I hope we wouldn't mention this at any other games. Right, Atalanta, I guess we had loads of injuries, Jorginho and Partey in midfield. And it was just a bit odd, that game, I think. How did you feel with the new Champions League format, Nick? Do you think that kind of changed the way we approached that game?
I have no idea what the new format is. I'm not going to lie. I've looked, there's like loads of different groups and tables, and we're playing on Thursday, which I thought was Europa League day, and I haven't got a clue who goes through. I'm assuming if you win the group, you go through. But
top eight is the easy thing to do. It's a mega list. Top 8 go through.
Is it a Gabriel mega list?
It is a Gabriel mega list. And then I think it's the next 16 go into a playoff like they do for Europa League. So basically, top 8, you go to the quarterfinals. Round of 32 is made up of round of 16 is made up of that group.
So that means we get a break.
Which means we get a break. And then whatever, everyone else gets knocked out.
So no one drops down into the Europa League?
Nope, not anymore. You're out.
It was a bit bizarre, wasn't it? In the sense of like, because that was a great, in theory, when you think about it, a great point. You know, Atalanta are a fantastic side. They're such a well coached side, really energetic, press really, really well. You know, like so we got our captain missing and stuff like that. A couple of days out from the from the North London derby away, and a couple of days prior to the Etihad away, and we come away with a very vital point. But when you look at the list and stuff like that, it felt a bit cold. You didn't know, where things were sitting. Where I don't know. I didn't like it. I mean, maybe in say after week 2 and week 3, it might sit a little better, and more permutations will open up and stuff like that. But yeah, I'd say post game I felt a bit flat from it, if truth be told.
Yeah, it certainly felt like a game that we didn't struggle in, but I think we were quite happy to take a point and run with it, as you say.
Did you know that Raya, according to WhoScored.com, got man of the match for his last 3 games? How many goalkeepers have ever done that?
It's impressive.
Mm-hmm. Is that a bit of a worry to anybody in the fact that we're having to rely so much on David Raya?
I think it's also a case of we miss Odegaard. That's what it feels like to me. We've certainly had a run of games that has helped us. I think in the case of without Odegaard, obviously he would have given us more offensive threat. But I think for Atalanta is a game where we try and hit them on the break and try and control the game. We're not going to try and be as expansive. A point is fine, I think, especially this early in the Champions League stages. And Man City as well is another game where I think we saw from that second half, and we'll move into it at some point, that Odegaard on the pitch or not, may have been a case that, whether or not Trossard gets sent off if he's even playing at that front. But I think when you look at those games on paper, it's not one that worried me too much that they were missing. Obviously, Declan Rice missing from the Spurs game, I think, was more important for us. But to get through that with our, should we say, makeshift midfield, which was still better than their midfield, shows the levels we've got in our squad depth.
Who's a bigger miss for you lot, Rice or Ødegaard? Tactically wise.
I think Josh makes a good point in this. It kind of depends on the game and the kind of game state. Like in that Man City game, stuff like that, I think you would want Rice in your team. You'd miss Rice. You'd miss Rice more than you'd miss Ødegaard possibly. I know, like I said, there's things about getting out and getting a control of the ball and passing it about and stuff like that. But they're so good pressure wise and stuff like that you need that dynamism and that athleticism that Rice delivers. But I think in these next series of games that we're going to have coming up, I think that's what, and we're facing slightly lower blocks and stuff like that in games that we should dominate. I think that's where we're going to miss Ødegaard more. So, a bit of a cop out answer, but I think it kind of depends on the games,
Yeah, Nick, you got any thoughts on Rice or Ødegaard? Who do you think we'd miss most, or anyone else?
I think that's like all of them, because you'd say the spine of our team would be Raya, Saliba, Rice, and then Ødegaard. So, you take one of each of those players. If you took all of them out, we'd be knackered, obviously. But you take the main spine of the team out, one or two teams, you had it. And hopefully he's not out. It's not going to be another one of these Arsenal. He's out for a week, he's out for a month, he's out for 6 months because he needs an operation. I hope that doesn't start happening again, because it seems this season we thought, everything's going really well. We've done okay in the transfer window. We've got rid of some of the players we don't need. Probably could have signed a couple of extras, but we'll see. Those players we got rid of didn't play anyway, so it's not like they're, going to be missed, but the wage bill is good. But now it just seems like injuries have started to creep back in. So.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we've got another international break coming up soon. So I guess on the upside, Rodri can't injure any of our players whilst he's playing for Spain. And I think that'll bring us quite nicely into the Man City game itself. So, Danny, we've named the podcast after it. Arteta's Dark Arts versus Pep's Dark Fruits. I'm just trying to think what the...
Where is the Dark Fruits Spurs fan?
I don't know where he is.
I enjoy the dark fruits.
I don't know.
It's a cider that, if people don't know, tell them what it was about, because...
So, dark fruits is basically what a load of hard men think is too poncy to go and ask for a cider and black at a pub is. And they go, it's really nice. Basically, it's Ribena that makes you punch people in the face. It's a strongbow dark fruits. Probably while you're punching someone in the face, you're singing along to Chelsea Dagger. If I can really just build a picture on how I view that
Dagger is.
But yeah, there used to be a Spurs fan who that was his drink of choice. I think he's still probably podcasting. I was trying to think of what the big semi catchphrase he had, Danny, that really brought him to our attention. But yeah, I think everybody who knew,
posh accent, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I'm sure he still does. I don't wish too much ill on him. He's got it bad enough already. He supports Spurs. You can't wish any more bad on somebody as that. But yeah, in terms of, obviously we'll talk about the should we say the vitriol that followed the performance we put in the second half. But Rich, how did you feel that first half went though?
It was a bit, the first 10 minutes was a bit of a struggle, in the sense of, like I said, they came out really, really fast on the front foot, and they really tried to press and make us panic in what we were doing. It almost looked like, at times they kind of went man for man on us. allowed Raya to have the ball a little bit, and then literally just tried to pounce on like Gabriel. And whenever we had the ball in there, and it was seemingly, like I said, the first couple of minutes, I thought it almost felt like, like the dark old days of 3-4 years ago. And then, like I said, it's, I don't know how far you want me to go into, but like I say, it culminated in their goal. We got a bit jittery. Calafiori, bless him, jumped out to try and nick the ball from who's there? Is it Savinho?
Yeah, Savinho.
Who did very, very well to turn into midfield. There was big gaping gap between Gabriel and Saliba, caused by Gundogan's run, and it went straight in for the big eyebrowless Norwegian to toe punt the ball in past Ray. And I thought of that bit, and I thought, oh no, because I said that was the worst thing we needed was to not go a goal down so early, and it kind of felt a little bit ominous, really, didn't it? But I felt after that I thought we regrouped really, really well, and I thought we grew into that game and deservedly, reaped our rewards. I don't know if anyone else felt similar, but like I said, it was kind of like start of it was, but behind your hands, biting your fingernails, and then slowly, we got to grips with the game and got to grips with them and got to grips with the ball, and it was, we finished very, very bright.
Yeah, definitely. I thought I agreed that we grew into that game. It's a bit like those kind of European fixtures where you end up conceding early and you think, oh shit, kind of brings you back in and gives you a bit of a shake. Nick, talk us through the goals as well that we scored. Obviously we had a debutant as well, also making a first start for us in Calafiori. But yeah, talk us through the goals.
Yeah, I mean, Calafiori's first goal, so obviously a memorable goal for him. And I don't know what it is. I mean, he just smashed it just outside of the box on his left foot. And it just always looks weird to me when a left-footed player scores a goal like that, because it looks wrong somehow, how it swerves.
Didn't Winterburn do one like that?
What, against Chelsea, like 30 years ago?
It was that kind of distance, but I don't know if it's his left foot or his right foot, but it is odd.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, but with this, it was like Winterburn's was more of like a curl and like out to in. This one just seemed to like go slowly and then speed up halfway and then sort of swerve off at the end. But yeah, I mean, it's a really good goal for him, and that's when we needed it as well, because in the past, especially playing teams like Man City, and I think that was probably our first shot as well. Whereas normally we'd have 6 or 7 shots and not score anything. That's really important, that when we actually get a chance against these sort of teams, we actually sometimes take them, the first shot, which is great. Because, years ago when we'd have played this lot, how they started so well, we'd have been 4-0 down after 20 minutes. So it's good that this side is actually capable of absorbing and countering that, just with how we play, Arteta comes out and points, someone moves over here, and whatever we do, we can actually go toe-to-toe with this Man City side and pretty much anyone in the league, whereas, let's say, years before, we just couldn't. We just didn't have the players or the tactics or, as we get onto later, the dark arts to actually compete.
Yeah, absolutely. And Danny, obviously we've been doing a lot of goals from corners, enough to get everyone who's all the stats nerds are coming out and looking at all of our various different corners that we're scoring. Is this our best? What's the way to say? Is this the sharpest tool in our toolbox?
It's definitely something that we are relying on, and it's not just someone. I was listening to the AC Jimbo pod, and they said it reminds them a little bit of NFL, where they're going 21, 28, 52, bingo, and they're all running into their individual positions. Because we knew last season it would be Ben White sticking a finger up the bum or tickling them under the armpits and putting them off, and now we've moved from Gabriel standing all the way out and then running in, and then Kyle Walker was just trying to, I don't know what he's trying to do, play like the xylophone on his ribs or something, jibbing and jabbing him. And you think, well, what are you going to do? And he's going jib, jab. And then Kyle Walker realises that, hold on, I'm jibbing and I'm a jabbing, and he's already gone. I ain't going to catch up with him. The bloke was an absolute nightmare for the. He was partly at fault for both the goals. And then for my screen is again is turned off. I need a new PC. What was the question you asked? Because
our corners. About corners.
Yeah, and so Gabriel's now come in and they don't know what to do about it because everybody crowds the goalkeeper, and then Gabriel comes running. It can't be that hard to stick someone on Gabriel and says, he moves, you move. Don't do all that tickling and the punching and trying to take his temperature like you would a dirty dog. Don't do that. Follow him. And then don't get someone like Kyle Walker who's 5'4". Keep Haaland on him. Go, Haaland, look, you stay on him, and he's probably not going to be able to do any of that lot. But it is brilliant. I think they were saying that we have scored more goals from corners than Man United have in the last 2.5 seasons. He has scored more goals from corners. And if it wasn't for that show, I'd have absolutely nothing to say. I'd just be producing. But it's amazing to see. And you think, we can't do it again. Bang, up, he's done it again. And what's that, 4 seasons in 4 games or 3 or 4 he's got in the last 10? Or some number like that. They were saying like that. But it's just amazing that we can keep doing it. And it's good to be able to do stuff like that when you're not being able to rely on Saka doing what he usually does. Havertz seems to have dried up a little bit because he's moving around because Ødegaard is out. Martinelli is never, ever going to score or get an assist ever again, although he did get the assist for the Calafiori goal. But Martinelli seems to only be interested in running at players and zigzagging. And once he gets past them, he loses all interest. So we need people like Gabriel to score goals.
I did think that Martinelli had one of his best games
in I agree.
a long, long time. Not one of his best games ever. We've seen him have some superb form, but Rich, I guess there is the question of, is he back, or is this just a one-off that we've seen from Martinelli?
I think in general, I think, like I say, his performances are getting better. He looks like a guy who is he's trying to force it, especially in front of goal. And he's out, in low confidence and it's a couple more he's not getting the full rub of the green that he wished to. He's taking a little bit extra touch. He's kind of thinking about it a little bit too much. And he needs that one to go. He needs one to go in off somebody's arse, off somebody's shin, something to go in for him. And then I think it will open. He'll be prosperous and slightly back to his old self, because I think his performances are getting better. I thought he was really, really excellent against Man City. And I also think, slightly going back, I thought he was, especially defensively, in the North London derby, I thought he was excellent as well. And it was when he went off and they brought Sterling on in his position, there was a noticeable, that side went to shit when Martinelli wasn't there. I think defensively he does such a hard graft down there. And I think he did that loads against Man City. It was his quick run in behind that set up Calafiori's goal, and he got that assist. And there was a couple, again, I'm flip-flopping all around the place, but there was a couple of times he got in behind against Atalanta, and that had he been in better confidence, had he been in a slightly better richer vein of form, he would have put them away like the Martinelli and old. I do think that I Jed personally think that when Marino comes in, I think that's going to be key for Martinelli. I think Martinelli, 2 seasons ago, 2 seasons ago, when he had Xhaka in that space with him, helped him out loads, and he flourished, and he really, really did produce the goods. And then he spent a season where that interior to him was, sometimes it was Rice, sometimes it was Havertz, who didn't start off the season in midfield that fantastic for him. And I think he really suffered with the people around him, in that left back space and that interior 8 kind of thing. And I think when Marino plugs in, I think you're going to then see the best of Martinelli. I might be way out of line and might thingy, but I think we're gonna get something out of there for him. So I think he was much better. I just think he just needs that goal to just to spark that ignition, and then he can go gangbusters. I just want to again circle back to that corner thing which Danny was talking about. Did you guys see that they did that comparison? Because like literally, I think it was a couple of minutes before Gabriel scored the goal. He really should have scored earlier. That there was another corner and it was pretty much exactly the same. And Sky did this really interesting thing where they literally, it was like letterbox format with the two set pieces on top of each other. And, it's obviously a routine that we've worked on. And the delivery from Saka on both times were absolutely bang on. And Walker is he's not a small dude. He's not a Doku like the first one. But what I love that Gabriel did, his desire to get on that ball, but he did that classic, one run for them, one run for me. He dropped a little shoulder. Walker went for a hot dog and he went and gone, and just his desire to get onto that ball. It's not luck. It's not, a fluke or anything like that. It's hard work and desire, and it's an absolutely fantastic tool to have in our arsenal.
Definitely. What I do wonder is whether or not, maybe not for Leicester, but maybe for PSG or maybe some later games, we'll see a change in that routine. Just, I think the amount of airtime that's got over the last week, definitely people are looking into it. I think not that managers go, oh, Arsenal, I didn't realize they were scoring a lot from corners until I watched Match of the Day, and suddenly that stats come up. But I'm sure now that more people are looking at it, more analysts are looking in more detail, not only to work out how to stop it, but clearly it's an effective routine and they're going to bring it in themselves. So clearly I think this is one thing that we have to keep an eye on,
but Josh,
just from an interest.
Martinelli's got 1 assist in 7 games this season. That's not good enough for me.
It's not good enough right now, for sure. I am also of the opinion, share the opinion with Rich as well, that I think that Marino coming in will help Martinelli.
Where's he going to play? Where should people expect to see him?
I would expect him to be that left 8. So we'd see Rice going back to 6, where his best position is. I think there is no argument on his best position. Rice should be in the 6. Marino should then sit there. He's got the left foot as well that allows him then to play the passes that no one else really has been able to do. And then ideally you get Odegaard sitting on the right. So what we may end up seeing for a bit would actually be Rice and Marino, and then Partey at the 6, or maybe Jorginho, whilst we wait for Odegaard to come back. But I think it'd also come into game state as well. Right, who are we playing? Could we? Well, obviously we can't play Trossard. We'll get on to why we can't play Trossard in the next game. No, sorry, we can, because he did
Nick,
his thing against
not
Bolton.
Nick. Phil brought this. Phil brought this up. Look at that. For people at home and on the bus, that's Kyle Walker pulling Gabriel's top just before he scores the goal. Imagine if we'd have done that. Gabriel
Sure
would
he's
be on
not
a
pushing
6
him.
month.
Maybe he's pushing him. Maybe he's helping. He's saying, go on then. I think, every picture tells 1,000 words, and I'm going to create my own one there.
But look at the chaos, and no one is stopping him.
Definitely.
I mean, it reminds me of the days of Tony Adams and Sol Campbell and Martin Keown. And Steve Bold got 2 really important goals against Sampdoria in the Cup Winners' Cup semi-final. I think it was at Highbury. I'm sure I was there. Those 2 goals got through to the final, but centre backs that score goals. I mean, we don't like it when other centre backs score goals, but that's really important. I'd forgot about that. That's more cheating from more dark arts, Josh.
Yeah, it's dark. Well, you know what a corner's like anyway. For when it comes with, I don't know if it's one that, for some reason, I don't know why, people think football's a clean game. It's really not. It's really not. The things that go on in a penalty box during a corner, even if it's televised. You don't see everything that's going on in there. What I'd have a look at, this is always a good one from my days playing 11 aside. When the opposition goalkeeper is taking a long kick up and you're playing centre back, the referee's going to watch the ball. He's not watching what happens at that point. Linesman's also watching the ball. He's checking for the offside line. No one's watching you. You tap the striker in the nuts so he doesn't jump. Nobody sees you do that.
One of the pundits made a good point and said about Haaland throwing the ball at Gabriel. He went, good. I've got no complaints about that. Good. Yeah, we like that kind of shit in football. We love it when we do it. I like it. I like some of the rough housing.
Yeah,
and
that was the Tifo football podcast. Yeah, and that was it. That I think. Sorry, Rich, go on to it.
I think we can hardly complain about Haaland doing that when we absolutely find it hilarious when Ben White is absolutely leathering a ball at John McGinn or ripping off somebody's goalkeeper glove or even knocking the ball onto Odegaard's head when we celebrate. So that didn't bother me. One thing I do think that I'm quite glad is the fact that we seem very switched on and clever. Like we've changed slightly the corner routine in the sense of, you notice like Ben White is not really fucking with the. Sorry, excuse my language. Ben White's not really messing with the goalkeeper as much anymore because everybody is kind of aware of it now, and they've had to change things up because like one of the ways that who is that team that we played in the European game last year where literally every corner everybody just fell down. It was like Porto. It was like Toy Story when Andy's mum comes into the room. Everybody just hit the deck, and then it was, kind of thing. So it looks like we have changed kind of thing. And I think to your point you said earlier, Josh, I think we're going to evolve with this even more. And if they come up with something else, we'll change it again. And I think as you practice enough and you've got desire, you're going to come out on top. And I think that's definitely what we've got.
Yeah, and I do think also it's not dark arts either. I don't think we're practicing dark arts. I think we're more streetwise to make a differentiation between the two. This isn't like us elbowing a player off the ball to stop a run and it doesn't get called up. For me, that's dark arts.
Josh, when we do stuff, it's cheating. When everybody else does it, it's dark arts and clever plays. We've got to correct.
We have to make our own luck, don't we?
True. And I suppose we've probably got to. Sorry, Rich.
I was going to say, you look at the match report from the game 2 years ago at the Emirates, right? And you read the match reports. I think it was like in the Times or something. I can't remember what newspaper it was, but they would go, "Oh, Man City, masters of gamesmanship. They were falling over, wasting time, getting into Arsenal's heads." And it was like, "Oh yeah, that's great. That's perfectly fine." Arsenal, we're accused of being weak. We're soft, and we get criticised for that. But as soon as we stand up for ourselves, start doing it back a little bit, oh no, we're a demonic team who plays defensive football and the anti-football. When I think we scored 91 goals or something like that last season.
Yeah.
They called Arteta Tony Pulis this week.
Mm.
They were calling things like, I'm like, seriously. But it's good. It's because they know we're getting to them and they can't knock us. It's good. I mean, this has been going on for what? 30, 40 years. Even George Graham in 89, he was like all that documentaries said they don't like us because basically we've pissed off Liverpool, we've pissed off Man United, we've pissed off Chelsea, now we're pissing off Man City, and they don't know how to stop us, so they'll just start attacking us in the media.
And we will bite, won't we? Everybody?
Oh yeah, our fans will bite. We will
bite.
Oh, did you know that in 1989 he said this, and in 2000, that's what we do, mate.
Yeah,
because they know
we will bite, we will nibble.
And the main thing is the reason, especially this week, like a lot of the the pundits and ex-players are going at us. It's also to deflect the fact that Manchester United are crap at the moment and Liverpool are falling down. So they are basically Man United are where we were 2-3 seasons ago, but they're not getting the grief because they don't want to give them the grief. They can't give us the grief because we're finishing second and challenging. So they're just saying random crap because they've got nothing interesting to say on the actual match. So they're just making stuff up. I think
Have
it's
you heard
hilarious.
Have you heard the stuff Goldbridge has been saying, Josh? Because yet again, everything that bloke says should be chiseled into stone
He's right.
and made for like the new commandments. I've started following him. He's that good.
I think it's one of those. I was having a heated debate with.
Oh, did they end up blocking you?
No, because it's in WhatsApp. It's easier in WhatsApp. They can't block your number as much. You can just ring them instead and berate them that way. I'll find a way. I will track down Travis. But yeah, about why Goldbridge is running this line, and I think it's because
diversion.
It's that what Mark Goldbridge does great is the anti-line that anything that Sky are saying or TNT. He will always take the opposite. He will always sit on the other side of the fence. And at the moment, he's realised the first time he did it with Arsenal fans, he suddenly got a hell of a lot more viewers because we are the biggest
I haven't gone that far.
digital footprint. We are the biggest fan base on football in the world.
265 Arsenal podcasts. Can't be wrong.
Exactly. There's millions of us. And if anybody is shouting the line we want to hear, we will give them the likes. We will give them the views. And yeah, I do agree with a lot of the things Mark Goldbridge is saying. And he probably is feeling it now because Man United aren't getting the same rub of the green they used to as well. And I think that's the other thing that he's probably pushing at that front as well. But yeah, I agree that what he's saying is very interesting, but I also think the cynic in me from the Preston-born Preston fan, Mark Goldbridge.
What was your WhatsApp message about? Now we're playing Preston in the League Cup away, and you gave a 3-point guide to if anyone wants to go to Preston. What was it?
I can't say the first one because it's rude. Oh, you can't. The second one is that Preston has the first KFC in the country, in the UK.
I think the first one was it's a shithole. I'm just checked.
Yeah, no, it was a shithole. And the third one, was the stadium is nowhere near the train station, so I don't think it's just a walk away. Imagine actually, I might just put this out to a wider front. I don't think any northern football ground is near a train station in the northwest. I'm putting it out there. Old Trafford isn't near the train station. Liverpool and Everton certainly isn't. That's about 5 miles away from Liverpool Lime Street. And it's similar for Preston. It's just the opposite side of the city. It's like, I don't know, must be an over an hour walk. It's insane. I
don't go past the Watford gap, so
Lewis, I got in quickly by going Lancashire because I realised that Yorkshire, Huddersfield's pretty close.
I don't know what Lewis knows. He lives in Manchester with me. I used to take him to the football with me.
Wow. Well, I guess
he could be round here mooning at my window in about 5 minutes.
Well, I guess that he doesn't know how far they are because you just park outside. Chelsea at home, Chelsea away, you'd get right behind the goals. Back in the day.
Oh, turn out in my little blue minibus.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Great days.
With the sunshine on the bus on the side of it. Yeah, it'd be great. So one thing we haven't mentioned yet, because we've gone through a lot of dark arts and about how we've avoided the elephant in the room, other than the 8 minutes of added time
where we played
for
9
the first half. It's a minimum. I'm going to give that as a minimum. What I don't like is the fact that Trossard got sent off. As much as I hate him, and I hate
Go on, Josh. He's your ex-boy. You can tell us about him.
I still hate him. I hated him when he was at Brighton. I hate him now he's at Arsenal. But, I mean, come on. What's going on here? Danny, what in the hell in Saudi money is going on with Michael Oliver's refereeing with Man City?
It's nothing to do with it. I mean, the fact that he did referee a friendly game in Saudi and got paid £1 billion for it, and Man City were one of the teams. And in all the 47 games he's managed Man City, never once given them a red card. And in loads of games for us, he's given us 7 red cards.
Yeah,
I mean,
the Kovacic foul last season as well.
Yeah, just gets away absolutely, and he's doing it. And when you've got opposition fans who hate Arsenal are going, this is bullshit, he's doing it again. The league is so corrupt. People are getting paid. either holiday houses by the sea in Dubai, Saudi, Qatar, the Emirates, one of those lot. Oh, pardon me, that's the Pepsi Max. Something is going on because you can't be that blind. How can in the first half, who was it who kicked was it Silva or one of those kicked the ball away when the referee was looking at him, launched it halfway up the pitch on the opposite side of the pitch from where the camera was, and then Trossard went, I'm not sure what's going on here. Now, will I get a second yellow card for barging the player out of the way of the ball and kicking the ball away? Because I've kind of got a short-term memory. I don't remember my teammate getting it done 2 weeks ago, you fucking idiot. I mean, what the fuck is he doing? For that, Trossard, I would suspend him from all games for a week or two with no pay. How can anybody see your teammate do that and get sent off, a massive big hoo-ha about it, and then you go and do the same thing again in 2 games later? What kind of moron are you to do that? Is it too late to take that 35 million from the Saudi Pro League for him?
I think it might be a little bit too late.
God
Just
damn
a
it.
little bit too late.
It's just stupidity.
I'll be fair to the boy. It did look like he tried to pull out and he sort of half kicked it and sort of, but it's just weird that for the last, 10, 15 years, people have had to do this thing where they'll dark arts or whatever you call it, and it's all the teams just kick the ball away, pick the ball up and walk up with it to stop people doing this quick free kick thing. So it's just basically they made the rules stupid that sometimes, teams could take a quick free kick if the ref lets, and sometimes he doesn't. I mean, if we're going to keep going back, what was it? The one Henry scored, he took a quick one, and the ref's like, no, you're not allowed to take a quick one, but everyone else was allowed to take a quick one. So he put the ball down and then put it in the same top corner again. He went after the ref, was like, is that all right then, you prick? And, it's just stuff like that. It's just, that's what every team has done to stop these quick free kicks, which that's not in the spirit of the game. If the ref blows the whistle and says, stop, it's a free kick, you wait for the ref to blow the whistle and we start the game again. I don't really get it's completely one-sided, that rule allowing people to take a quick one. Plus, so many people have done that and the ref pulls it back. It's just, and I did see that thing a couple of weeks ago with, or last week with Howard Webb and Michael Owen, just sitting there grinning because they know they're just pissing everybody off. Where, and I said this on the last pod, Danny, where if they'd have told all the players, we're clamping down on this season, nobody do it, but apparently that is what has been told. They've been told to not touch the ball. If anybody touches the ball at all, you're getting booked. Well, we saw in the game that Ben White got sent off, he didn't get booked. There was one in the Man United game where he hurled the ball over his head, didn't get booked. The Tottenham game, there was one, but Saliba got booked where he actually picked the ball up. It was in the first 15 minutes and he dropped the ball where the free kick was supposed to have taken and he got booked for that. So it's not like remember a few years ago when they were giving everyone handballs for nothing. It was hitting them in the back of the hand, like deflection. And everyone was like, well, what's that about? But for some reason, it's only our players are getting booked for it. And it's weird, especially it's only a second after the whistle. Trossard tried to...
Less than a second.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's similar to the Van Persie and the Nou Camp thing. And apparently, I don't know if I'd listened to Josh or Trossard, but the bloke who said he didn't hear the ball. He didn't hear the whistle. So if he says he didn't hear it, he didn't hear it. It's fair enough. But and it all comes down to this. And what was it? They got someone done Michael Oliver on there. He said, "I decide if it's kicking the ball away or not." Well, so we can't agree on what is kicking a ball now anymore. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like the Rice one that really pissed me off. It's like, oh, you didn't give me no choice. Well, the ball wasn't in the right position. So you could have said, I'm not booking in because you were taking a free kick when the ball wasn't in the right position. Also, the ball was rolling, which is not a legal free kick. But you ignored the two blatant rules of the game and you just want to book him. It's just getting stupid, and especially with Michael Oliver. And it's not just Arsenal, it's all teams he's screwing. He's screwing Liverpool and Tottenham and Man U against them. It's just... It reminds me of Mike Dean about 10 years ago, once he, after, once you've been around for as many years as you have, and you look at the numbers, you think something's not adding up here. The stats.
I think it's definitely a wider issue. I also probably want to put a pin in the conspiracy that it's only happening to Arsenal.
No, not with Michael Oliver. Yeah. I'm saying just
I'm saying in general.
This is just a Michael Oliver. He's got hard on for Man City, and whether it's
that and Newcastle, obviously we know.
Well, but it's fan. I mean, they say what they want, but then you've got to think: why would they want Man City to win this league all the time?
Well, I'm sure there's definitely something in there that we can't mention, but definitely, I think it's a wider refereeing issue. Bearing in mind, before the Arsenal game, I witnessed one of the worst on-field calls I think I've seen in my time watching football, which is the yellow card for Morgan Gibbs-White, the second yellow for that red card in the Brighton game, which the referee said at the time, oh no, he got the ball. It was one of the worst decisions I've seen, which says to me, this is a wider refereeing issue. This isn't a conspiracy per se. It's they're all just really bad. They're either so stressed that any micro issue they make, they know is going to blow up in their face. But certainly, what I found odd was I did think it was I thought something in what Trossard did was a yellow card. But then when they said what the yellow card was given for, I then thought it was a bullshit decision.
Yeah, I thought it was for the elbow. I thought he'd shoved it. And it wasn't. It was the kick away.
Yeah.
And initially, because I was watching it on the channel, and we were talking in the pub, I was like, was it the elbow? No. And then they were saying he kicked the ball away. And everyone in the pub was saying the same thing. We were watching. He said, well, he kicked the ball away. So why is that kicking the ball away 20 seconds after, not a free kick? And not a yellow card, but this one is. It's just
the Doku one is kicking the ball back to the position where the free kick should be taken from. But Rich, you had something to say as well on the case.
Well, I was just saying in the sense of it's irritating because of the inconsistencies of that. Because you could probably conceive of that Trossard should have got a second yellow for the challenge on Bernardo Silva. But the thing is, you give that a yellow card and you don't even have to go that far. It's in the same bloody half of the game. Where's the consistency of, look at when Haaland goes herring in and flying into Saliba. He wasn't looking for the ball. He wasn't trying to make a challenge for the ball. He was just smashing into Saliba. Let's say, I know we just come on to the Doku thing. So like the Doku thing was I know you're saying he's knocking it back into the position of where the free kick was supposed to be taken, but he actually wasn't. He was playing it to Timber. Declan Rice was where the ball should have been going to, and it's just that's the little inconsistencies that really kind of make you puke. And it's kind of there seems to be a lack of common sense within the PGMOL, and it's I don't envy referees in a lot of ways. I mean, I've even at lower league level, I've done at grassroots level, I've refereed games. It's bloody hard. You don't always have the correct angle. You don't always have the correct view. Things happen so quickly and so fast. But it doesn't help in obviously with today's society with things like what we're doing now. Everything gets micromanaged within and microanalyzed within an inch of its life, and you've got 24-hour news outlets discussing these things ad nauseum and stuff like that. So I mean, it is very hard, but it just what you want to strive for is consistency. And I think I said it on a previous pod. The whole edifice of the PGMOL should have been absolutely stripped and brought to its knees ever since Mike Dean made that admission that he didn't send the referee to look at the VAR because he was having a tough game. He was having a tough game, and it should have been absolutely blown to smithereens after that admission. That they've still got the same goobers bloody employed there.
All the refs involved in that game should have been fired, and they should have replayed the game because they've admitted that they didn't do their job. And then and what was it, Mike Dean's argument? Oh, that happened 3 weeks ago, so I don't know why you're talking about it now.
Yeah, I think it's one that certainly, I think the bottom line at the moment for me is that referees aren't managing situations properly this season.
Is it deliberate though, Josh?
No, I think it's
making the rules stupid, so we just talk about all the controversy.
You can't deliberately be incompetent. It's not a thing that. It's one of those. If you try and act drunk, people can tell you're acting drunk. You've got to actually be drunk.
Are they making the rules more complicated?
No, I don't think so. I think there's always
seems to be. Go on, mate. Sorry.
No, there's a human side of football. Put it that way. The Veltman-Rice situation can be dealt with in one of maybe 4 or 5 ways. The way we've always known football to be managed and refereed is that cards are a last resort. Getting your yellow card out is a last resort of this is the way I need to calm that game down. And actually what ends up happening is so for Rice is a perfect example. For me, it's one of 3 ways you do it. You either book both players, whatever happens to Rice at that point because he's already on a yellow card, whatever, or you talk to them both. And I haven't seen a referee have a proper talking with 2 players for yellow card offences that's not resulted in yellow cards this season. And I feel like that's the issue at the moment. We saw it in the Spurs game. How many yellow cards came out there and it just lost control of the game. And we were all surprised a red card didn't come because then the referee actually had to start thinking about what they were doing at that point. And that's where I see the issue, is that they're not... Sorry, Danny, go for it.
It's like Bournemouth-Chelsea a few weeks ago. Chelsea won 1-0. Not an amazing game. 15 bookings. Taylor was the referee.
Yeah. It was insane. It was... Anthony Taylor was the reason both managers in the Brighton Forest game were sent off as well, because he was the guy that gave the red card as the 4th official, not Rob Jones, who said it was a perfectly acceptable tackle. Now, I was happy that Anthony Taylor stepped in because it happened right in front of him, and you could see Morgan Gibbs White comes in, scissor tackles João Pedro. It's a terrible challenge. It could have been a red in its own right.
Trav has a good point there, Josh.
Yeah. Okay, so Trav has gone. I remember hearing that in Major League Baseball, the umpires were given a rating system and the quality of the umpires improved quickly or could be improved. How can PGML do the same? I reckon there is a ranking system because you've got refs in the Championship, you've got refs in League One, refs in League Two, and they promote people. There's clearly a table somewhere. I think the difference is we don't see it. My assumption is because... American sports love stats and they love sharing stats with everybody. It's why one of the Arsenal podcasts is so widely loved, because it's so analytical and everybody loves stats. That's where the biggest audience is. And that's where I think it would be. I'm assuming that rating system is publicly available. Maybe we need someone like, what's the French... publication, L'Equipe, to start rating referees, and we do that. It starts putting them in a table. But yeah,
is it how many presents Howard Webb gets sent by individual referees?
Well,
is that the rating system?
Yeah, maybe it's.
He's got buckets of oud all over his house.
I did think that he was coming into a difficult situation, Howard Webb, and I think he's still got a problem. Right? Imagine you've got a load of incompetent employees in your business.
Tell me about
it. There is nobody competent available for you to bring in. What do? You
can't fire them all on the first day, can you?
No, exactly.
But one it brings
the league.
The only thing I will say is he's had a long enough time in the job, and it's not making. Because I do agree with you. I think Mike Riley oversaw a decade of absolute stagnation and, you know, zero improvement, just absolutely terrible boss. And as I've probably said before, like I said, I can't stand Mike Riley. nobody can tell me that he wasn't bought out for that 40th, 50th game against Man United. Absolutely shocking referee, and even worse, boss of the PGMOL. I was hoping, I know, like when Howard Webb come in, that he would change things, because he surely couldn't be any worse than Riley. But I think he's been in the job now long enough that we should have been seeing some tangible changes. And I don't think going on a show with Michael Owen and giving us absolute rubbish analysis and try to come up with nonsense about why referees were right all along. Admittedly, like I think you touched on it earlier, didn't you say, Josh, about the Kovacic thing last year, where like he did you could have been 2 red card challenges, but definitely 2 yellow card challenges. And he didn't give it a thing because he didn't want to, be the centre of attention. He didn't want to spoil the game. But
he spoiled the game. It was actually before half time. This was like looking to be one of the best games of the season, and it's just annoying that they called it a title decider. I'm like, come on, we're like 3-4.
So let's talk about the second half. Did Michael Oliver ruin the second half? I mean, one of us turned it off with 20 minutes to go. Well, turned out 30 minutes to go with the added time at the end. I won't say who that was, but he was very annoyed and went to make dinner instead. So, yeah, I'm going to leverage other people's knowledge of that. Nick, how many pints in were you at that point? Are you going to have a reasonable recollection?
Yeah, I was 3 pints of Strongbow dark fruit, obviously. I was obviously that sort of stuff. And yeah, it was just, I mean, I was saying to people around me, I was like, well, we're 2-1 down. We've now been sent, so we're either going to, if we come out and try and score, we're going to get spanked. We've done it before. We've conceded a goal and capitulated against, to be honest, lesser teams than this sort of, I remember, I love bringing up old games where we got like humiliated to make everybody feel better. Like, what was it, the Chelsea game when Gibbs got sent off when Oxlade-Chamberlain handballed it in the first 10 minutes and we got done 6. And obviously we got like the 8-2, all those sorts of games. And I thought, well, actually, we've got, the defence and the side, we could hold this lot off. And if it weren't for more injury time than they said, we just about did it. And it doesn't infuriate me, because I expect it from a lot of the pundits spewing all their crap to just try and get clicks. But at that point we were winning. Why do we have to come out and try and win more? But they know if that's what we do, we'll concede. Apart from that, the only goal they managed to score was a lucky deflection where at ping pong it just landed on his foot. They didn't break us down in 45 minutes, properly, where they probably should have done. And I think that's what got them so frustrated in the game. And it sounds weird. I feel like we won, but we got robbed and lost at the same time, even though it was a draw. I'm feeling a bit of everything throughout that game.
Yeah, Rich, would you have preferred it if we'd lined up our 9 remaining outfield players on the halfway line and we just hoped the offside line would be all right?
I'm disgusted we didn't bring on Wanyeri and Lewis-Skelly and 16-year-old Jack Porter. We should have brought on all the kids and played
Rush Goldie as well.
3 and yeah, that's absolutely disgusting, cowardly, horrible thing that we did. I think we should be thrown in the London dungeon the absolute cheek of it. How dare we do that? How dare we protect a lead? How dare we do something different than, like when Liverpool played Man City, got a player sent off and lost 5-0. How dare we do that? How dare we change for when we went up there, got Xhaka sent off and it was like 5-0 at half time? How dare we do anything different? We should be ashamed of ourselves.
How dare Arsenal know how to defend? Pretty much defenders left. That's what it comes to.
Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. I felt bad because it looked like a really, really good game. We were coming into our own, and it then became almost a bit of a farce of just an attack versus defense kind of thing. There wasn't really much we could have done, and like I say, you look at the bench of Man City. They've got 100 million, 50 million John Stones to bring on. They've got 100 million Jack Grealish to bring on. And it's, I don't understand what the vitriol was all about. It made me absolutely, let's say, crazy. Like even like the little things where I know they were moaning a bit because our players were going down with cramp, but like the 3 players that went down with cramp, they all went off shortly after. They all got substituted. So it's just it doesn't make any sense. But it was a bit of a fight. Imagine for the neutral, it must have been so boring to watch. Even I didn't get bored. I was, obviously like biting my fingernails and kind of stressing out of it because it was, it was all of, backs against the wall kind of thing. But it wasn't like we were seemingly doing anything massively. I don't know how to word it, because I think, but we were literally just very stoic and very organised and very with it and switched on. Like we were smart with who we were letting have the ball, and closing down whoever was dangerous. We worked hard, and it's I think Riot only, like I said, as Nick said, only really had to make 2 saves. 2 decent saves at that, but it's not like they were creating loads of chances and Haaland was running us ragged and stuff like that. It was literally just, they were playing a little bit like late Wenger sides, that the Haleb arc of frustration thing, just going around our box and like I say, us just nice and comfortable kind of thing. But it was, I agree with what Nick's saying. It was. At the start of the game, I would have bitten your hand off for a point. At the end of the game, it felt like a loss, even though we gained a point, because we were, just that last little bit of misconcentration and we got undone.
Yeah, certainly. I've got a question for both of you, Nick and Rich, because obviously one of us who I remain nameless didn't watch the entire game, wants to understand how 8 minutes of added time for the second half when the ball was in play for a record all-time high, and I'm guessing all the substitutes were made, and we've been told we're not extending added time. I've been at a couple of games this season where I've seen 10 substitutes, yellow cards and a red card, and there'd be 3 minutes added on. Where did 8 minutes come from?
I think they started this crap last year, didn't they, Josh? This was the year before it was stupid handballs. Last year it was double figures minutes. And this is, I'm sounding like a broken record, which I've been saying this ever since I've been on air. And what gets me, just have stopped the clock and show us what the time it is. Because that is the easiest form of cheating. We've all seen it and they've laughed and joked, oh, it's Fergie time and all that sort of thing. And you think, and then they put, like, say if they put 8 minutes up, and we've seen them where they've done that, and then they've played 10. I think, well, where do they find another 2 and 8? And I don't see that in any other sport in the world where, like cricket, F1, all right, we've got 72 laps. He's coming round the end. Oh, no, the refs decide we're going to have another 4 laps. Cricket, no, we're going to have another 5 overs because I'm the ref. It just, you don't get that in any other sport. We can't get time. And when they say so much bullshit, like the technology doesn't exist, the technology doesn't exist to us to show you when we're stopping the clock. The technology doesn't exist for you to listen to what the refs are saying on their microphones. It's existed for 30, 40 years, you're lying. It's just crap. They don't want to be held accountable for what they're doing. And the easiest thing is, like we said, just have stop the clock. We get there, you go past it, the klaxon go off. When the ball goes out of play, game over. Everybody knows. But we just keep going and going. And they got the decision that I think they wanted. And that's, and it's not just an Arsenal thing. We'll see this happen when Man City play Liverpool. They'll start going on with extra minutes. I mean, Josh, you've watched a lot of live football. Is it the same at Brighton where you think, oh, there's not a lot, and they think, and the fans say it, where the hell did you get that lot from?
Oh, yeah. When we got 3 minutes, when I expected there to be 5 minutes,
yeah.
I think it was Ipswich. It was the opposite way around.
Yeah.
There is something in Premier League sport. Actually, no, you know what? All the way through, also the EFL as well. When it comes to added time, the model I'd like to see them adopt is the German model, which it's up to the referee's discretion, like you have in English football. But more likely, if, for example, we're winning 3-0 and there's been 5 subs, or for each team, 10 subs, whatever, 3 or 4-0 maybe higher. I think they might do it at 5-0. Anyway, if you're something like 4 goals up in the 90th minute, they'll just call the game then.
Yeah, that's
they'll
weird,
just go,
isn't it?
yeah, they'll just go, yeah, I'd like that. Because actually, what are you gaining out of that extra 5 minutes? You might get a complete capitulation, but if you 4 goals
might
up,
have a thing to say about that. I think that's what.
Oh yeah, I think the bookies make enough money though, Nick. I think they'll be all right.
Well, you know what I mean.
They
But
don't
also,
pay out at that point.
what always get me is, I mean, this might affect you, Rich, as well, where they say, "Oh, we don't want rules in the Premiership which they can't apply in the lower leagues." I mean, not being fun, I don't give a shit about the lower leagues and non-league football if they haven't got a big stop the clock, if they haven't got a big TV to show replays on. To be honest, mate, I don't really care, because that's, I know it sounds harsh, but that's not as important as these bigger games. And also, I'd like to think there's not as much cheating down there as there is up there.
Oh, there's more cheating down there, definitely. Definitely, when you get to the lower.
No, but I meant cheating from the refs, not cheating from the players. I mean, I can't see a referee.
I don't know, mate. I've come up against some.
I think, let's put it this way, it's a lot smaller pool of people, should we say, when it comes to club owners and referees.
Now, what I'm saying is, down there, the ref, it's not in his interest to put 10 minutes stoppage time off when the 20 fans that are there have been calling him a cunt, key in his car, saying they're going to kick the shit out of him at full time. There's no reason for him to put more stoppage time up than there actually is, if you see what I mean, compared to the Premiership.
For sure.
He'd probably say, how much stoppage time, ref? None, I'm off.
Right. Rich, I think we should move on from that bit. But what I do want to talk about is the fallout. We had a good 10-minute chat, I think, before pre-pod, at least, on this. And I wanted to get your thoughts, I think, on what we've seen from, let's name at least 2 ex-Man United players and 1 Liverpool player with a podcast with Ian Wright. Maybe we'll start from there on how this has come and how, I guess probably to set up before I fire it over, Man City are having a bad week off the field, so maybe don't get them off the field mentioned at all.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that might be a good idea. It's been extremely frustrating, because, like I say, as I said before, the seemingly, and I don't know if it's just an instant thing where you think it's a conspiracy against yourself and your team and stuff like that, but it's seemingly like there was when we played Newcastle, they're falling about all over the place, and we had the lowest ball in play time that's ever been recorded by Opta. There was none of this chat then. As I said before, when Man City did it to us 3 years ago when they beat us 3-1, there was none of this chat then, and it all seems to be now. And I think you said something very pertinent in the sense of Arsenal have got such a large social media footprint, and if there's one thing that Arsenal fans are they engage a lot online. You look at the amount of man of the match awards, or player of the season awards, whatever, player of the month, whatever is awards. Nothing mobilizes quite as quick and efficiently as Arsenal Twitter and Arsenal Online. And I think it's a similar game to what TalkSpike used to do with Adrian Durham for years. Controversy creates cash. You say a load of nonsense and to get people to hate click onto there, or hate respond, or defend your club and stuff like that. It drives engagement and forever be it. I also think that the Paul Scholeses of the world, and even let's say Roy Keane, who I think is. I'd actually come around a little bit more to Roy Keane because I quite enjoy, as I said at the start, I quite enjoy watching stick to football. I like the dynamic between Wrighty and Keane and stuff like that. I'd slightly come or softened to Roy Keane, but like his analysis of it all, just reminded me of like this caveman mentality football. And a reason why he's not a manager, and he was never a successful manager, because of the way he thinks about football and stuff like that. And I just think a lot of biases have come out on the show. I think a ton of like misinformation. Like I said, you had Paul Scholes banging on about how negative Arsenal are and how defensive Arsenal are, and like I said, we scored 91 goals last season. I think. Danny's the stat man. He could probably tell me that's probably more than we'd ever scored under Wenger. If
Arteta broke it back-to-back seasons. I think he got 88. And Wenger's best was 86, and I think it was 88, then 91. Without looking it up.
I love that you had that stat straight away in your back pocket.
Someone asked me the other day. That's why I remember it. But definitely 91 beat Wenger's.
But so like these people, it's kind of like almost like kind of gutter journalism and uninformed journalism, and it's kind of like one of the reasons why, like I said, stick to football is one of the few generic football things that I kind of listen to or watch, because it's going to sound really, really arrogant kind of thing, but because of like this show here, because of the Arse blog or the Arsenal Vision podcast and stuff like that, and the fact that I watch Arsenal week in, week out, I'm much more informed about what is going on with Arsenal and what Arsenal are doing, and I'm sure you guys are as well, than Paul Scholes, than even Gary Neville. Look at a couple of seasons ago when every Arsenal fan could see what our transfer policy was. And he didn't have a clue about it. And, bold claims of him, I don't understand what they're doing. It's little things like that. So it's kind of like, so I think that a lot of the discourse has been, very, very clickbaity, very, very clickbaity. And I said, that's what it felt like. It felt like, even though the Tottenham game was only like a week previous, I was like, but it felt so long ago because of so much vitriol, so much discourse, had gone on throughout the week. But I've found most of it kind of one part frustrating, but one part just laughable.
I can't remember. We've had some ups and downs over the years. I mean, they tend to ignore everyone's ups, really. It's like you win the league, they'll talk about you for 24 hours, and then they're on to transfers and they want all the managers sacked. But it's just, I haven't seen them come at us that hard universally throughout the media. And it just makes you wonder why. And a lot of their stuff lives in the past. When you say about when they talk about their opinions, or like, I remember a few years ago, which I thought it was hilarious. I was probably online somewhere. It was Jamie Redknapp. They were talking about us, and they said, and he literally said, "Well, Arsenal, we know they're they're the worst team in the league defending corners." And it come up, "Oh, Arsenal are actually the best team in the league defending corners for the last 2 seasons." And he just went, "Oh, do you see? That's just what he's going on." And a lot of these players go on about when they were playing 10 years ago. That team, that they're not actually. I don't think a lot of these pundits are actually watching as much football as what some people on podcasts do. I don't think they're watching every minute of every game. They don't know who half the players' names are, and they just say the same stuff after every game, which they have done for 10 years straight. Like, this is a different side to Wenger. This is a different side under Emery, but they just keep saying the same crap every weekend. It's annoying.
Danny, I think I've got to ask you. We've not heard from you for what feels like about half an hour.
Probably the best.
Typing away. Well, some people were here to see you. At least, we've got 32 people watching, and you told me what we've got 17 likes. 17. So quick maths tells me that 15 of you don't like what you're seeing, but are continuing to watch, which doesn't seem right to me. And I'm not going to say tappy tappy because we
trademarked.
Trademarked. I can't use that anymore. I'd find the Welsh for it, but ironically, it's the same. So, Danny, how do you feel that at the moment? You've been, to say nicely, seen most of the Arsenal media, or how we've been portrayed in the media for the longest time.
Yes.
And have we just had a sense of humour failure, or is this something feel different?
No, it's always based. The only time we haven't had it in the face since the George Graham days is when I was really started getting into it and noticing it and reading about it and cutting it out and shoot match 90 minutes 4-4-2 and all that lot. That's when it first started again, and then it died off a little bit. Probably at the end of the George Graham era, they were laughing at us because we were at one point we were mathematically close to relegation because we were into our run for our second Cup Winners' Cup final in a row. And I think we were down 16th, 15th, 14th in the league table. And then it started to get better again. And now the only time they've really laid off us, as in expecting us to do stuff, was the Emery era, which people blame Emery. Wasn't Emery's fault. Emery I'm going to bring up my favourite little banner here. It's, come on, where are you scumbag? It is this one. He had a team full of Bundesliga bastards, and not one of them liked him because he's a La Liga maestro. And he had been magnificent everywhere he had been before, and he's been magnificent everywhere he's gone after. And so he had to get rid of everybody at the club, and Ozil was and Ozil hated everybody. And so that's the only time where I haven't seen the constant not getting the praise we deserve for what we're doing, because we were shit and we knew we were shit and everyone knew we were shit and they left us alone. And now we're better and we're getting better and better. And to go to Man City, like you said earlier in the pod, Josh, and they had a list of the last 5 big teams to go to Man City, be one down to 10 men, lost 5-0, lost 6-0, lost 5-1, lost 4-0 and all that lot. For us to go there and hold on to that in the second half, I think it was 300 they had 389 touches in the second half, and we had 39. Some crazy number like that. They had 5 shots at goal in the first half. They had 28 in the second half at home, which equals the Premier League record. And for us to do that, and for them to score in the way they did at the very end, if that had been any other team, there would have been an open top bus parade for whoever did that. It doesn't matter who it was, even if it's Man United. I mean, Man United can dream of having that kind of defence. They'd be scoring their own goals themselves. But there is a certain part of the media, the Scouse Mafia, the Mank Mafia, and the Spurs Mafia, that never, no matter what we do, if we could do back-to-back Invincibles, they'd still go, nah, don't rate them. The Jamie O'Hara's and the Jamie Redknapps and the Carragher. To be fair to him, Phil Neville, Gary Neville is a little bit fairer than most. But you get the old school ones like Graham Souness. He'll give you the truth. He says we're doing well. But we're like the ugly bird who's been off to Turkey and come back with new teeth, new hair, and a Brazilian bum lift. And people hate it. They're looking at us and going, "Oh my God, stunning. Oh, please let me touch your bum." And we're going, "No." And then we go off and do more wonders. And they can't stand it, because everybody who knows even the slightest thing about football know we have the upper hand on Man City. We've lost 1 in our last 23 Premier League games. Years gone by, that's enough to have been back-to-back champions. Lost 1. And the games that we have drawn, we've deserved points. We've gone away to the scum again and beaten them 1-0. We didn't even try. We let them have the ball and go on then, off you go. We're going to have a little sleep, carry on with yourselves. And then to do what we did away at Man City, everyone should be given a sparkler, and we should play YMCA and all have a little dance about, because what we have managed to do is brilliant, considering some of our best players aren't there. Our captain isn't there. We've swapped around left back and right back nearly every game. We've not had the same back 5 all season, I don't think, because for injuries and that lot. We've got £100 million worth of players in Zinchenko and Jesus that are virtually doing bugger all. Jesus has got Haaland has got more goals in the first 5 Premier League games this season than Jesus has probably got in the last 2.5 seasons. And we're still playing him up front and still doing absolutely nothing. He kicked the ball away as well against Man City. He hasn't learned his lesson. He got booking for it. but we just don't get the credit we deserve, and I think that riles the players up. Remember, George Graham had a team meeting once. You remember this, Rich? We had the team meeting. How did he put it?
Well, was that the one after the brawl at Old Trafford?
Yeah, I think it might have been.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact words, but it was quite funny because it was in that League Champions video, and it was kind of, he was, what was it? I can't remember word for word what he was saying, but it was actually quite funny because he actually was saying, we've got to keep it clean, we've got to be sensible, we've got to be thinking. And then when the cameras stopped rolling, it was, this part of our history, they don't like us. It's fine. It's part of our tradition. We just, get on with it and fuck them. Excuse my language.
Haters, and we can use it against them.
Yeah, it's because we've done it organically as well.
Yeah.
This isn't like, Liverpool, they built organically. What really helped them was 2 massive sales of 2 of their not necessarily best players.
Broken players.
I think Suarez wasn't broken at the time, but certainly Coutinho money helped them rebuild that entire team. But remember, Brendan Rodgers had them shooting for the title before Jurgen Klopp turned up. So that was still a very strong side. And
and
Chelsea,
that Liverpool side were magnificent.
Yeah,
they were the best Premier League side for 4 seasons. And what did they win? 1 Premier League trophy.
And that one they probably cheated at as well. No, there was nobody there. That's why. So it didn't happen.
I think that's because they were humble, Josh. I think we all need to be humble.
That's one of the questions. And maybe
hang on. Liverpool humble?
No. I do have a question for everybody as well. Are robots so advanced now that they can feel humility? I'm just asking for a friend. I don't know if robots are that advanced yet. Has AI got to that point? Can they
fake it.
Can they feel humility? Do they know what humility is? Okay. Maybe
AI
that's why
recently
Arteta
was given a question and it had a certain time limit and it didn't have enough time, so it gave itself more time. And then it also deludes itself by you give it a question it doesn't know the answer to, it will make up an answer.
And then John Stones scores in the 99th minute.
Yeah, that's it. It's not far from it. We'll just get the same with AI. AI will hate us because it was programmed by a mank or something.
Oh, right. I guess I feel like I'm waiting because we're gonna get a guest on who appears to be annoyed. I don't know who he's annoyed at, but maybe I can just start making more quips about Man City players until then. But what else can we say? Because I was just about to move on to Bolton. We still got to talk about Bolton.
Oh, right, okay. You're on about the Man City.
Well, I was talking about Man City. I'm assuming Femi's coming on to talk about Man City.
Well, their fans were so quiet. And, I mean, how many teams? I mean, they're quiet all of the time. But for us to go there and them to get absolutely no joy from the game, and we ruined them. And then other clubs are going to go and...
Those students won't be back. Those students they brought in on a buy 3 tickets, get 1 free deal will not be back. Having been in the area, that is exactly how they bring people in. If you've got...
If you've got an NUS card.
Yeah, if you've got an NUS card, basically, you're getting into Man City for 20 quid. That's it. It is even I guess after the 115 birds come to roost, Man City can go back to being the club who was gifted a stadium.
Yep.
We're a mid-table side. That's it. I don't know which league they'll be mid-table in. Who knows?
You see, one of their plastic fans the other day tweeted a picture of some players. Sean Wright Phillips scoring a goal, and he put in there Sean Wright Phillips. What's it called when you're beating someone? The kids use the word. Whatever the word was, showing his skills and teaching them lessons. And then someone replied to him, "Yeah, that was in the Championship, mate." Just sums up.
It was like that thing. You remember when they signed? They signed a player, right? And he was like, "I've been dreaming of this when I was a kid."
Robinho.
And is it Robinho? Is it Robinho? Anyway, so it cuts to. Yeah. It was. I think it was maybe a bit more recent than that, and it was. It cut to when that guy was a kid, and it was literally 2008, and Man City were battered. I think it was like 6-0 or 6-1. or 7-1, something like that, by Middlesbrough. Like I saw on. Sorry to keep going on about the stick to football thing. They had the fans forum, and there was some Man City fans in Bowie, or I don't know where, and he was going on about the great heritage that Man City have. He said, we've won league titles before Sheikh Mansour come along. It was like, I think you won like 2 in the 50s. You had less league titles than Huddersfield. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
but like the reason you mentioned about the fans being so quiet, I think it was also, I think, credit to the Arsenal in the fact that we gave them absolutely nothing. There was nothing for them to get excited about because we pretty much held them at bay and just let them pass them 300 passes just back and forward to each wing. It was glorious.
Yeah, I think I just realised there was one player that I forgot to mention, and that's public enemy number 1, central midfielder for Man City, who unfortunately is now ruled out for. I reckon I'd be surprised if we saw him before January 2026. He's got a big injury there. Do you think that helps us in the title challenge? Nick, I'll go to you first. Do you think that Rodri's injury is something that we'll see a benefit from, or or is it still Man City's title to lose?
I mean, they have coped without players for long. So I don't know for the whole season, and someone as important as him. I mean, De Bruyne missed a lot of last year, and they still managed to, win it by a couple of points. But generally, for everybody else, like the season after Liverpool won it, Van Dijk did his knee, and then they just dropped off completely. So usually, you take out 1 or 2 of your best players, and he does seem to make that team tick. So I don't wish, don't really wish players, injuries and things like that. I hope he's got a cold so he doesn't play against Arsenal for 2 games a season. That's it, pretty much. But you don't want to wish injury on players. But I think they're going to struggle because, I mean, if by January it's not like they can go out and buy a replacement because, well, who's out there in January? And are they actually going to be allowed to buy any more players in January? We don't know.
This is this thing here that we were talking. I always like to keep this available so we can go and have a look at it. This is how big a team Man City are. This is their relegations just from the Premier League. I mean, people at home, they got relegated from the top flight in 1902, 1908, 1926, 1938, 1950, 1963, 1987, 83 I remember, 87 I remember, 96 I remember, 98 I remember, and 2001 I remember. So Arsenal have been relegated, I think, once, possibly twice, because there was no teams playing top flight football south of the Thames. And so that was back in those days, which is why we decided to move. And moved into North London, and our enemies lived in Middlesex at the time, not North London, you scumbags. But that isn't the history of a club, a club that with a rich history other than going down.
Wow, that's a turn of phrase. I think in terms of, I think Femi has been blocked by Elon. Elon has
I've sent it to WhatsApp as well.
Oh, well, Zuckerberg's onto him now. Let's see who he's pissed off on this front. But yeah, I think we can move into, actually, we haven't praised many of our players. I think we've mentioned Martinelli. But
and Raya getting 3 back-to-back man of the matches.
But I think there's also Havertz, isn't there? I think he played well.
I mean, he's playing everywhere. He's gone full Perry Groves. He's covering for everyone. It's wonderful. What a player. And still looking great.
Yeah, absolutely. Were there any other performances that you can think from players in that Man City game that you think stand-up performance? Or, Rich, did you just feel like everybody was just like 10 out of 10? Just everybody left everything.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like I say, apart from the nibble that went astray from Calafiori, I thought Calafiori was magnificent in that game. Obviously he scored a great goal. I thought him and even Timber on the other side, I think they kept their wingers for the most part, really, really quiet. I thought, even in, like I said, in that second half, Saliba and Gabriel were imperious. They were absolutely, phenomenal. And even Declan Rice and Thomas Partey, having that ability and that nous to, like, as I said, allow Ruben Diaz and Akanji and Walker to have the ball. And then as soon as it got to someone a bit more nous, a bit more danger, I'd go and get them. They were absolutely fantastic. Femi, hello, my man.
Dear. He
How
looks
much am I
angry.
going to build you up, Femi, for some?
Better be
What
good.
angle are we going on? Where are we starting? Where should I point you? Which part of the
Which
Man
part?
City
Where do you
game?
want to start?
Which part of the Man City game has got you riled?
There were some facts some things that you said that I thought, oh my god, how many shots? You said they had 28 shots or something like that, right?
In the second half, yeah.
Okay, how many of those shots were actually shots apart from about 3?
I think all of them towards goal. So 28.
Wasn't it Ruben
Well,
Neves?
no,
Ruben Neves
there
had
was
half of
Ruben
those.
Diaz shooting
That's
5
it.
times from the edge of the box over the bar. It was just constant, just shots from outside the box from Diaz or Akanji, so the stats can tell you anything if you don't watch a game. But we watched that game, and there was no after about 15 minutes of the first half and about 15 minutes of the second half, where we were just figuring ourselves out, where we didn't actually know what we were doing with those tactics. I think no one knew what we were doing. Obviously, the pundits didn't know what we were doing. So it seemed like, oh my God, they're getting absolutely battered. But what we did was we just contained them and we let them go into areas that we wanted them to go into. So after about 10, 15 minutes, we just said, you know what, you 3 defenders, you just have the ball at the edge of our box. We're not going to foul you. Did you notice that? We didn't foul them once at the edge of the box. We didn't give them any free kicks. Hardly gave them a corner. They were looking for free kicks. We didn't give them a corner. Declan Rice just shepherded them wherever they wanted to go, and they were just hitting shots from here, there, and everywhere. Yeah, they had about 3 shots, but our keeper made good saves, but not out of the ordinary saves like he's been making. Let's be honest. Okay, so that's one thing. Then the second thing, the pundits. Let me go on to the pundits. Let's be honest. A lot of these guys hate Arteta because he started managing when a lot of their careers started failing. I'm just being honest. Gary Neville was a manager around the same time when Arteta joined Arsenal, something like that, and he was so rubbish he got sacked after 7 games, was it? I don't even know.
He never wanted to be a manager. That's the big thing he'll tell you. He never even went there. He went there as a favour.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Quit his job at Sky, yeah, and everything. Did this big send off at Sky, and all of them.
He's done so bad, he sacked his brother as well.
We've all seen it from the time Arteta joined. There's been this jealousy. I don't know where it's come from. That every single thing that he does, they nitpick little bit by little. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, Danny was going through the history of Arsenal. I've seen some extraordinary stuff that at Arsenal that I've never seen at any other clubs. You were talking about George Graham. Has any other manager been sacked the way George Graham got sacked or done for what he got done? We know plenty of managers that were doing that back in those days. Some of them even went. Well, one of them went to court and said that he's dogged something and he couldn't write or something like that.
Old Harry.
Exactly, he got away with it. But extraordinarily, Arsenal, for some reason, remember when Arsene Wenger joined? Remember the rubbish he had to put up with, where he had to literally call his own press conference on the stairs at Highbury because the journalists were writing all sorts of rubbish about him. I don't understand why or where it comes from, this hate of Arsenal. It's amazing, and it's so, I just don't get it. It's like everything Arteta does. Literally, you have managers, Josh, who got sent off last week for stepping on the pitch, apparently, and apparently
it's outside his technical area. Outside his technical area. It was insane. I can't believe that got rescinded as well. By the way,
did you see what Guardiola did to his own chair?
Well, imagine
he moved his own chair and broke his own chair.
And this is what I mean. Imagine Arteta did something that outrageous. It's like all these little things that you think, oh, come on, like, is this really what we want to be doing in football? They really just want? He's a passionate guy. Even I've seen that he's died. A little bit of his passion has died a little bit. Now you know it's that AirPod Albert, because I go to the games. He confronts the fourth official all the time now, rather than Arteta, because they've managed to quell his passion. I see that the Brighton manager is going to have a lot of issues in this country, because I watched him on the touchline and he's 10 times worse than Arteta. I'll tell you that.
He got he's already got 3 yellows this season.
He's
as
mini
well.
Deserby.
He's
like
worse than
Deserby.
Deserby. He had it from.
He's
St.
only
Paulo as
31.
well.
He's a baby.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a live wire on the touchline.
He is mental.
But wasn't Arteta giving instructions to Jorginho, because then the players can run up and down the pitch, can't they? Someone pointed that out.
Yeah,
Genius.
Jorginho does that in every game. That's the other thing. It's one that got pointed, I think, because they pointed the cameras on it. But that's, I think, Femi, you go to the games. Rich, I think you've been to a few as well. Jorginho does that every game, doesn't he? When he's warming up, I remember seeing him down at Brighton. He'd get in the way. You'd get fans standing behind him, shouting at him, saying you're blocking.
What was funny is we had made all our subs anyway, so him pretending to warm up was just hilarious, wasn't it? But
so the other thing what you were saying, Femi, about everyone having a go at Arsenal, they all big up Spurs, who were the complete opposite to Arsenal in everything, but Spurs can do no wrong.
Loser mentality. It's the same reason why. It's the same reason why, although Emery's doing really well at Arsenal, they try to gaslight Arsenal fans to tell us that it's our fault that Emery didn't succeed at Arsenal. No, we were there. We watched that. We saw that. That was one of the. I actually considered not going to football again under Emery. It was that bad. That's how bad it was at that point. And they can't tell us what we were. They keep telling us what we're seeing or what we saw. And it's that loser mentality. It's like, oh, you got him sacked and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, you really can't do this. Then you go on to the pundits. It's ridiculous. You got Graham Souness coming on radio telling us about, oh, it's little league mentality. You got Roy Keane telling us, oh, it's like League 2 team against the, and you got and I just don't get it. It's like they want us to do what Tottenham did in that game against Chelsea. I find that hilarious. And I remember that game, actually, Andrew was getting praised for that. And I was like, did they watch that game? Tottenham could have conceded a goal every minute in that game. It could have been any scoreline if Chelsea weren't rubbish or rubbish at finishing. Is that really what they wanted us to do the other day? It just didn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, as I said earlier, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If we had done that stupid thing that what Ange did, and we had gone gung-ho and we had fucking ended up losing 5-2, we would have been criticised for a bit. Oh, we're weak mentality. Look at them. Why are they going gung-ho trying to play football with 10 men against the best team in the world? Oh, weak mentality, terrible. No leaders, no direction. We would have got all that. Like I say, you can't win. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's, as I said before, it's they don't care about Tottenham because there's nothing to worry about with them. It's just they're just another almost like mid-table club kind of thing. I know it's maybe a bit harsh, I don't know, but you know what I mean. But whereas Arsenal have got that digital footprint that we will go crazy and we will generate those clicks and those engagements, and that's why they do it.
This week was all about keeping Man City out of the press, out of the headlines, out of the back pages. That's what I think it was.
Josh, this goes on to my last point.
Yeah.
The fans of other clubs, my goodness me. What I find Twitter the hardest place to go on now.
Yeah. Without
having to that's why I just do, even though I'm not, sometimes I don't want to defend Arsenal. I just defend Arsenal all the time, because the fans of other clubs, I think I don't know if every fan has been bought out or sports washed or whatever they call it, but every fan of every other club now is a Man City fan. I just don't get it. And I don't know if they're a Man City fan or they just hate Arsenal. It might be a combination of Liverpool fans. They just don't want us to win because they couldn't do, they beat Man City once, but they just couldn't do it. They couldn't knock them off. So they just hate us because of that. So Liverpool fans are that. I understand Man United fans, but I really don't. Actually, I don't understand Man United fans, because if Tottenham were Man City, could you imagine Arsenal fans just consistently wanting Tottenham to win over another team? No way would we ever want that. But Man United fans seem to care more about Man City winning than anything else. They live through them, basically.
It's because, as you like you said, it's because if Man City win, it's almost like it doesn't matter. It's a league of their own. They've 115 charges. They've been financially doped for over a decade. They have, they've got a squad that if you split in two, both of them would challenge for the bloody title. They're that good. If they win, they don't really care. It doesn't really matter. But as you said, if we were to win, that's something that Liverpool weren't able to do consistently. That's something that Man United have spent £500 million to try and do. That's what Chelsea have spent over £1 billion trying to do. And I think that's the kind of jealousy of it all.
Yeah, it's just absolutely crazy now. It's just got to a point where I understand the words hate watch, these words that have come up now. I don't know what has happened to football fandom where it's just like delusional fans all over the place. Twitter accounts doing stupid Tottenham. I didn't even see that last night what Tottenham did, but I saw it today at some point actually.
Oh, their tweet.
I was like, is this what
the balls of their tweet?
Yeah. We actually just spanked you at home for the third time in a row last week. And you're talking about, this is how we do it, whatever they said. Like, what is this really what that football has come to? That fans just, it's always, I can't even watch other teams anymore because I hate their fans. I don't even want to say, this player's good, that player's good, because I just hate all the other fans. I don't know what's happened I don't know if it's like
I think what it is we hate teenagers. I think we hate the people between 18 and 21 now, because that's all I think Twitter is. The ones who are now telling me that Cole Palmer is the best player in the league, that kind of one, and go, come off it. I could name at least 50 players without even thinking that are better than that.
Yeah, it's like these fans where you say, Bukayo Saka's a great player. It's like every player, but he's not as good as this. He's not as good. I don't care. I didn't ask you about this player. I just said, we've even got Arsenal fans that do it. It's like there always has to be a scapegoat player every year. It's like, now Eddie's left. Who's the next one? Let's pick on the next one. Now it's Martinelli. Oh, look at him. He's shot wide. He had a bad game, but he's not like I don't understand. It's like no one can be satisfied with anything. There's no it's like people are not happy with, sorry, I'm not being rude, but it's like people are not happy with their lives, that they just constantly, like, you can't even put out a tweet and say, Bukayo Saka had a great game. But he got an assist, but only from a corner. It's like, shut up. Like, what is going on in this in the Premier League? It's like stupid clubs in this Big Six mafia, all those other ones, Everton fans, and they're moaning about their charges and all this crap. I don't feel sorry for any of them, to be honest. I'm really at that point where I don't care about any club in the Premier League, and I really, really hope that Arsenal win the league this year. Like, I've never wanted us to win as much as this, because I don't know what's going on, or what. I don't know what would happen if we won the league, to be honest. I think there'll just be an implosion from the pundits, the podcasters, the other fans. They'll absolutely go crazy.
I have one requirement of us winning the league this season, is that Man City aren't docked points until the following season. Because I cannot have that asterisk. I don't care, because that's what the rhetoric will be. You only beat them because Man City got
docked points.
They won't get docked points. As long as they don't get docked points this season. No,
they're not going to get it.
They'll move. They'll move.
No.
Somewhere.
They won't. I bet you any money. It'll be a fine. I bet you any money they don't have the balls.
Femi, you know that even of our collective net worth, we can't go into a bet with you. None of us can do that. I can't sit at that table, mate.
No, I bet you any money. You've already started seeing the stuff about the Premier League was spent 50 million in legal fees. It's too much. It's double what they spent in the last however many years. We know what's coming. They're gonna come up with we came to an agreement and City will pay a 50 million pound fine, and they'll have a 24-man squad instead of a 25-man. It's coming. I'm telling you. I'll go pointless.
My thought is they probably end up with like a meaningless point deduction. Let's put it that way.
They won't get a point deduction.
It'll be following season. Anyway, should
Because
we talk about something happy?
Go for it.
Should we talk about Bolton? And we'll talk about Hale End boys. Was it now, Danny? The one thing that Arteta doesn't play kids, does he? Does he get? Was it?
Well, we'll see in the next round.
Debutants now. 12 debutants.
Well, in that game, Sterling made his debut starting. So did Manwari. So did Lewis-Skelly. So did Nicholas. And then Kabia, Karakuri. I've said that wrong. And who else came on?
With the goalkeeper.
That was it.
Porter.
Jack Porter.
Jack Porter
as well.
Little Jackie Porter. And we had Aaron. Is it Aaron Heaven? Or Aiden Heaven on the bench. And we had an unpronounceable Russian-looking name, Alexei Rojas. Oh, he's a goalkeeper. Yeah, I remember he's 18. But for a 16-year-old, someone did a list of all the youngest Arsenal players to make their debuts, and the 5 that I'd seen, all goalkeepers. You wouldn't have thought that. You wouldn't have thought a position where experience makes you a better player. Why are so many goalkeepers making their debut at Arsenal at 16, 18, 19, ages like that? It's very strange, but John was
tend to have like 2 goalkeepers who play. If you get 1 suspended and 1 injured or 2 injured, then that's just all you've got, and you haven't got anything else.
I think that is part of it. But John was having kittens in the WhatsApp group going, Lewis-Skelly was the best player on the pitch that night, that he was absolutely magnificent. I thought he was really good. The bloke on the right-hand side, Nicholas. Josh Nichols. Is he related to you? You got the same name?
No, that's not how it works.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think, to me, for him at right back, I thought he was the most impressive. I think because I've not really seen a lot of him. Obviously we saw a lot of Lewis-Skelly during pre-season, but Nichols came in cold almost into that back line. And okay, it's only Bolton in inverted commas, but I think generally for a 16-year-old or 17-year-old to come into that, you can really see why we've cleared that previous generation out of the club.
Yeah, we got rid of so many. I mean, I've got a list of all the players that have come and left the club. This year, nearly 40 players left the club. Last year, nearly 40 players, all youth players. And that's why we've now got 16-year-olds playing for the under-18s. We got that young central mid, is it Jack something? Dowman?
Max Dowman.
God, he's 16 years old and he's playing for the under-21s. And
he's 14, isn't he?
He's 14.
He's 14 years old.
I'm thinking ahead. But then my last bit on the Bolton game, Manwari, he just, it's like he'd been playing in that position with the first team his entire life. Magnificent. Such a joy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so glad that we finally got like a decent draw in it, because I think previously, and it's one of the reasons why Arteta's not been able to field the youngsters. I think the previous times, but I think we've had Liverpool, Man City, and Brighton. I think the last four years. I may be wrong on that order, or but we normally keep getting like decent Premiership sides in the early draws, and I think you can't. It'd be wrong to put the youngsters out against the likes of them. So I'm glad we got Bolton. I'm almost kind of glad we got Preston. I know they're Championship, aren't they, Preston? And they knocked out Fulham.
They're bottom of the Championship, so I'm sure that will probably change by the time we play them. But yeah, so we can put the maybe not all the kids, but we can still give Waneri and Lewis-Skelly a run out against Preston. Yeah, I think.
A question. You just said that about Arsenal putting out weak teams against Premier League teams. Do we give Arsene Wenger enough credit? Because I look at some of the League Cup teams and League Cup runs that we had, and I'm looking at the 2007 when we went to the final.
Oh, is that? Oh.
We played. Yeah, we played the youth team all the way through that competition, even in the final.
Yeah, and then Mourinho
turned up.
Yeah, we lost. Yeah,
and that was one of the best Chelsea teams in living memory.
But we were playing Premier League teams all the way through the rounds. So we had played like Everton, Liverpool, Tottenham.
But I think a lot of teams would do what we do, though. I think a lot of teams did what we did and would field, your Fram Readers, your I don't know, I can't remember the other young goobers.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, I guess City
Really
changed it
unpronounceable
because they dominate the league and pretty much the FA Cup. Or the teams just feel like the League Cup is probably their only chance of winning a trophy, isn't it? Because they win the league and the FA Cup most seasons now, anyway. So
yeah, it's very rare now that you're going to see someone like Swansea getting to the final again, or winning it as well. It's a lot more difficult trophy now to get to. I guess Southampton did it 2 seasons ago, when the season they got relegated. They got to the final and lost to Man United, and I think that one was quite close because it's basically been between the two Manchester sides for the League Cup, other than Liverpool last season. Klopp leaving on a high with a League Cup win, really finish off that legacy. But yeah, I think it's good to see the young players coming through. Were there any other performances that thought were good in that game? Nick, anything from you on that match for Bolton?
I mean, I only watched the highlights, so I don't know what much I can get from 3 minutes.
I thought Saka was interesting because I said to someone, I said, these players, Saka's so good now that you could see his level in that game where he could do whatever he wanted. He was going inside, outside, stop the ball, come in. He could do whatever he wanted. It was amazing, and I thought Sterling had an interesting game as well.
Yeah,
as in, he looked really sharp and
I think it was the Sterling goal that is perfect example of Saka just doing what he wanted, right? Because he was just toying with them and then just went, I'm going to put enough power on this cross that it's getting to Sterling. It doesn't matter if there's a goalkeeper in the way, and it just bobbles under the keeper. Sterling can finish at the back post. I thought, really well played.
I think my prediction of Sterling to get 20 goals and assists this season
and assists.
Is it?
And assists.
And assists. Or 20 goals and assists. Combination. Okay, not 40 goals.
And you know something, Nedved would still win the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
No, and I've just counted this season, 33 players at all levels left the club, and last season it was 28 players left the club. Yeah. So that's 51 players Arteta has cleared out of the club, while breaking the Premier League record in back-to-back seasons for number of goals scored, almost equaled Wenger's record from the least number of goals conceded. Some of the runs we've been on have been magnificent, and he still doesn't get any fucking credit. What do they want?
And we still haven't sorted out our goalkeeping position. It's quite weird.
We need another goalkeeper, don't we, Femi?
Do you need another goalkeeper?
Another 2 or 3.
Another
goalkeeper. Give me 5 goalkeepers again. That's what I need. Right, Danny, have we got any questions?
I think I asked our 32,000 Twitter followers.
I don't know if, whilst you're looking, if Nick's seen this one from Alfredo from Facebook.
Oh, Alfredo, how you doing? I haven't seen you for ages.
I'll leave that one just up there, and that's a little Easter egg for people on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, just go onto YouTube. Whilst you're there, drop a like, and then scroll along to 1 hour 53 minutes. And you'll see the comment for Nick. I'm sure he's appreciating it now in all its glory. And then
I've
Danny
just put it full screen, and I wish I hadn't.
And now Danny will go to the questions, I think.
I've only got, I think there's 3 questions in the chat, and then I've got 1 here. So I'll start with you, Josh. Good luck with this. Oscar X-Ray on Twitter says, as masters of the dark arts, at what point should we use our supreme evil power to put the kibosh on the team that has actually cheated their way to the top of the league? I'm not sure what that question means, but there you go. It's a question.
Do we have the ability to Expelliarmus? This is why I never made it at Hogwarts. Yeah, I just couldn't use my wand as I needed to, which I think at my age shouldn't have these kind of problems. But that went south very quickly. I don't think we could. Yeah, I don't think we can knock Man City out from the league as much as we'd like to. But I think we can win the title this season. I think we could have done it last season as well. There is an inevitability of Man City. I did see that Rodri flew to Barcelona for his X-ray. So imagine he will come back quicker than Zlatan came back from his ACL Now that we know Pep's medical connections in Barcelona are quite good. So yeah, expect to see Rodri by Christmas.
Right, question for Nick. It's going to be, that's not that, is it? It's comments. I was on the wrong one. It's this one from And Lots of Numbers. Nick, what happened to the PGMOL's directive about players surrounding the referee this season? Howard Webb is an absolute disgrace. Has the PGMOL ever been run worse by any former referee?
Well, it's like Josh said earlier, it's just been a slow decline to the point where the English people, the English refs aren't getting taken away to the World Cup and things like that for the last few. It's just incompetent. And it's just, they've put more effort in the last 2 seasons with Howard Webb to try and go on TV and tell all the other pundits to tell the fans that they're wrong when we're seeing what we're seeing. That's where they're putting the effort in. They're telling us what things like, we know the rules of football. We know when the refs are doing stuff wrong, when they're dishing out cards and they're calling it wrong. But they're sitting there grinning, telling us that we don't know what we're talking about. And I just think it's just pathetic, to be honest. I mean, how the head of the referee can go on live TV grinning, telling everyone, like all the fans, that they're wrong and he's right. It's a shocking thing, really, where I don't know who can step in and, like, I think we've all said it for years, get like a third-party company to get in to audit them to make sure they're actually doing it right. I'm surprised they haven't had this in place for decades, to be honest. But it is. I mean, everyone I know, they say that the English refs are just a joke.
True.
Yeah, they all love the spotlight, don't they?
Yeah, I don't want to know any of their names.
Howard Webb loves the spotlight. My goodness me. Jesus. And that show with Michael. Did you see Michael Owen's tweet the other day? I'm not even going to answer any questions. I'm just where he said that Arteta was what he said Arteta was. Oh, there was complaining, and I was thinking, hold on a minute. Arteta basically said at the end of the game, I don't want to talk about it. I'd rather not talk about it. So what are they trying to tell us to believe things that are not actually happening?
It was some very odd PR, wasn't it? It's like Arteta had a really good line in his press conference today, which was, I don't want to be on YouTube because I've done something silly. I want to be on YouTube because we've achieved something in May. Yeah, and that is the big up yours. That's why I didn't go 10 at the back in a row at the halfway line and wait for Man City just to pick us off.
All right, next question for you, Rich, from Trav. Between all our centre backs, who do you think can play in the number 10 position best if needed?
All our centre backs could play in the 10. That's no idea. I would say probably Calafiori. Actually, I think he's either Calafiori or Saliba. I think Saliba is so cool and calm and collected that he could pretty much do whatever he wanted all over the pitch. He's so calm. But I think from what I've seen so far of Calafiori, he's got a really good head for attacking and being high up the pitch and stuff like that. So weirdly, especially when we're down to 10 men against Man City and we've got all the defenders on the pitch, somebody's got to have to play the 10. So I'd go with Calafiori.
I don't want to jump in and become like a guy on Twitter that Femi hates and say, but what about Ben White? That's my one.
He could play anywhere.
Is he a centre back anymore though?
Yeah, that's where I was trying to slide him in. I'm like, he hasn't played centre back for Arsenal for like 2 seasons now.
But again, if anybody can shithouse his way to playing in that number 10, it's old Benny Blanco.
It is, isn't it?
Nick, Femi's disappeared. So are you there, Femi? No.
Yeah, I'm here.
Right. Question for you from Avon. Can Jesus, Tommy, Partey, Zinni, and Jorginho provide the minutes our squad needs over the course of the season?
Jesus, yes. Well, he has to because we've only got one other striker. So, Partey, he surprisingly stayed upright, but it's only September, so who knows? Tommy and Zinni, I'm so worried about these two guys, especially Zinchenko. Have you noticed that since he's joined the club, he gets this calf injury at least once, if not twice, every season, and then he just disappears for like weeks on end. It's like, how many?
Do you think he's got a case of the Neymars? Do we need to check when his sister's birthday is?
It's always around the beginning of the season and around March time that he's got a calf injury. That's it. It's just randomly just comes out of nowhere. But for me, we should have just sold him personally. And Tomiyasu got a new contract, but it's a short-term contract. We just have to manage them to the end of the season. But having injury-prone players, I think, is probably what this question is more about. It does put a lot of pressure on the squad. It really does, because as you can see now, we just cannot rotate anything, and it's quite a miracle that we do have this many defenders, because we've got so many injured. Kieran Tierney's still at the club, remember? He's still there running around somewhere, if he is still running. So yeah, we've got to manage these guys and get them fit as soon as possible, because the amount of games that we got is unbelievable. But it's good to hear about Mikel Moreno today in the press conference. Arteta, did you hear Arteta's press conference? He sounds like he absolutely loves him.
Yeah,
he's gushing over him. Oh, he was.
Oh,
God,
basically,
God.
Danny, I'll be surprised if Arteta got up straight away afterwards, because he had to let that settle down. The way he was talking about Moreno, oh my goodness.
Yeah, he's like, he's football brain.
Yeah,
he's defensive
Why
back
is he
quality.
taking so long to sign him then, when he wasn't even that expensive?
I think he was
it
away at the Euros.
One in, one out. I'm thinking 1 in, 1 out in the summer.
I also think because there was other player, wasn't there, for Sociedad who Liverpool. It's the guy with the name begin. Yeah, that's it. So I think maybe they were reluctant to sell both of them, and if Zubimendi was being bought by Liverpool, I think that was one of the reasons why it took so long to do the deal.
I meant in previous seasons. If he's that white, we bought him at 28. If he's been here 4 years, so why isn't it? Well, anyway, that's
we had Xhaka, didn't we? And then I think Havertz was the plan last summer to fill that left 8 spot.
Okay.
And obviously we ended up playing him striker. So move on to the next one.
Sandeep DLs, Josh says, do you think we need to buy players in the winter transfer window? We need some more left backs, because we've got 4 injured left backs at the moment.
No, Femi and I have already mentioned we need another goalkeeper.
We do need another
couldn't say that with this. I couldn't do it.
If we keep going through in the League Cup, we kind of do need another. We'll do something out of our goalkeeper.
Cup side.
Yeah,
I do think
Chesney on a free.
No, he's gone to Barcelona.
Gone Barcelona.
Yeah, he's signed for Barcelona.
He retired.
Yeah, and then Ter Stegen leg exploded. So
Yes.
Lewandowski got on the blower and said, "Hey, Wojciech, do you fancy 9 months in Barcelona?" And I'm
Can't wait for Podolski to end up at Barcelona as well.
Oh, well,
Polish
maybe we'll talk about that at the end of the podcast.
Oh, we should have, at the end of it, should have been half hour ago. Let's get on with these questions.
Right. But yes, we should sign some people. We probably will need to, based on what Femi was talking about all our injury-prone players.
Mm-hmm. Good. Nick, should Manwari start tomorrow against Leicester at 3 p.m?
I mean, where would we play him if he did start?
On the right-hand side of midfield.
What, instead of Saka? Probably not.
No, right, central.
Yeah, the guard role.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's what I said before. Give him a.
You took a lot of convincing there.
Yeah, well, I was just that because I didn't, but I think I said that before when Odegaard got injured and we were hoping he's going to be back after 3 days and he wasn't. But yeah, give someone a chance there rather than try to move other players out of position and then stuff like that. Just give him a run of games, and I just think that's what we'll see how we get on. He could be number one backup. And the same as we were talking earlier, like with Martinelli, like I think Timber needs a run of games as well if he doesn't get injured, because I think all the other left backs are injured at the moment. But I think that's going to help Martinelli if he can actually have the same left back behind him for 10 or 15 games in a row, which is I think that helps Saka because Ben White's always behind him, and you just build up a rhythm and you know where people are and you just get on with it. So that's why Manwari should play in the middle.
Rich, if you need to go while we're waffling on, you can go, because I know you've probably been up for 42 hours already.
I'm all right for a little bit longer. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, I'll give you an easy question. Man City v Spurs in the League Cup at the Toilet Bowl. Who will win that game?
Oh, can't we have like a 22-man brawl and they both get chucked out of the competition? Mate, the lesser of two evils. Tottenham can go through, and then we can beat them in the next round.
That would be nice. And the last question I've got is for you, Femi, from Phil. Is it time to get rid of the cup-tied rule? It seems pointless, and because we've already got rid of the cup-tied rule because of Mkhitaryan in the Europa League. They got rid of it there. It is a bit pointless, isn't it?
Not really.
Well, it is. I'm telling you it is.
I mean, it is if a player plays in the early round, first or second round, but if you sign it's designed to stop. It was designed because, to be fair, it kind of is a little bit pointless now because it was designed when the transfer window was kind of all year round, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you could just sign a player at any point up to March.
Used to be up to the 6th round of the FA Cup.
Yeah, so then you could literally just say, okay, well, we're in the final of the League Cup. We're going to go and sign your best player, then let him play against you. That's kind of what it was designed to stop.
I said 6th round. I meant quarterfinal. There is no 6th round.
It is. Yeah, I don't know. It is kind of in the early rounds. It's kind of pointless. I mean, if a guy plays in the first round, what difference does it make if he plays in the third round for a different team? If you're not closing the window early, so what difference does it make?
Plus, Femi, do you think that because we said, we've got Sterling on loan with us. Do you think if we played Chelsea, that he'd deliberately score an own goal from or anything like that had happened? Because people talk about stuff like that, but I can't think of anything like that ever happening.
The loan,
because
you're allowed to play against. You're allowed to play against loan teams in Europe. Because remember,
in the cups and stuff like that.
Yeah, all the Italian teams you're allowed to play against your parent club as well in the league. I think in cup games you can in England, can't you? Like Sterling could play against Chelsea. Yeah, Chelsea.
No, I don't think you can.
Not in the League Cup.
No, I think it's blocked across the board.
Okay.
But in Europe, remember Morientes knocking Real Madrid out of the European Cup when he was playing for someone else. Yeah, it can happen.
That's all the questions, Josh.
Cool. There's one question I'm going to ask everybody, and that is your score predictions for our game against the mighty Leicester. 3:00, depending if you're based in London. If you're not, it's not going to be at 3:00. If you're based anywhere outside of that time zone, check your local listings. Danny, what's your going to work along the row? Score prediction?
Well, Leicester this season, draw, loss, draw. If Vardy starts, then they might score a fluky goal, but I'm going to go for a nice, healthy 5-1.
5-1. Nice. Nick?
Yeah, I'm saying 4-1 now. Vardy will probably get some sort of deflected goal or a penalty.
All right, so 4-1 to Arsenal. Femi?
3-0.
3-0. Nice. And finally, Rich?
I've gone in my Super Six. I've gone for a 2-0 win.
Lovely stuff. I think I did similar. Maybe I went 4-0. Oh, I definitely went 0. I thought we're keeping a clean sheet. We've got it. Right. I think that just leaves me to say thank you to, we've brought in more people than we started. So I'm going to have to say thanks to Danny, Nick, Femi, Rich. It's been great having you here. We've done this now for 2 hours and nearly 10 minutes, probably by the time I've finished waffling on. There's now 28 people watching. I've got 4 thumbs up and hearts from Facebook. Thank you very much, Facebook. It's very nice of you. We'd also love to see some more thumbs up. I don't know how many we've got in YouTube because I can't be trusted. 30?
Yeah.
We've got more likes than we've got people watching. That's insane.
That's maths.
That is just counting. That's what that is. You can tell with my week off this week, I've been listening to certain radio presenters. I'd like to say thank you. I think we've had some of the usual people in. I've just seen James Johnson come in as well. I just got 3-1, although he thinks someone's due a pumping from the Arsenal. 3-1's not a pumping. Come on, give us 8-0. 8-0. That's what I'm going with. That's my final answer, Danny. 8-0, and let's turn this thing off. I guess we'll be back next week at some point. Who knows?
As soon as I scored that goal, I was fucking livid. Get down, dog. Splendid business.
He nearly caught the bloody thing. What are you talking about?
So I've just eaten a full quiche. Well, you don't often see them at it. So when you see them in the supermarket, they need to be swagged, microwaved immediately, and get the brown sauce on and bosh, Bob's your uncle. Never in doubt.